And in our top business story, global unified standards and strategies should play a crucial role in fueling the growth of global halal trade, which is estimated to be worth around 8.4 trillion dirhams. That's according to the panelists speaking at the Seminar of Halal Products. Organised by the Dubai Exports Agency, the seminar, held under the theme Compliance and Potential Markets, brought together senior representatives of free zones as well as manufacturers and industry professionals to discuss the future outlook of halal trade. Much of the focus was on the opportunities that halal compliance can offer to SMEs by accessing and capitalizing on the market, which is estimated to reach 23.5 trillion dirhams by the year 2020, according to this year's Global Islamic Economy Report. In partnership with the Organization of Islamic Countries, the Emirates Authority for Standardization and Metrology had launched the Halal UAE stamp for food, pharmaceutical and cosmetics earlier this year. Aside from positioning the UAE as a hub for halal products, it offers consumers quality assurance due to the incorporation of good quality standards, together with a unified halal accreditation. With costs of the qualification ranging between 15 to 20,000 dirhams for 3 years, the Director General of ESMA believes that harmonized Islamic standards should offer more business opportunities for SMEs seeking to become halal compliant.
This will help a lot manufacturers, consumers, governments to look after the halal products without any difficulties. Means that since it's based on international standards, it will be a base of trade, and it will. We are aiming to make halal marked product to be an exchange requirement for global business. The good thing about the UAE scheme is that we are involving international standards on that, which is implemented in different sectors. It means that, for example, if we are talking about certification bodies, we are implementing the ISO 17065 for certification bodies, and this accepted worldwide as a body issuing results based on that standard. Now, what we did is that we added to this standard a requirement for halal.
The prospect of global Islamic fashion through supporting brands and designers was among other discussions held during the forum. According to the chairwoman of Islamic Fashion Design Council, the industry is expecting a surge in demand as they have almost reached the industry value of $500 billion. Through new initiatives and educational campaigns, it is believed that it can open powerful revenue streams for the designers.
It's a multi-pronged process, and it has to be. There are demands by the designers. The designers have certain things that they need to do, and they have certain demands that need to be met in order for them to sustain. So we've got that responsibility, and we are taking it very seriously. And then there's the consumers. The consumers want to be understood. You're talking about a huge market where the consumer tends to be a very loyal customer because they've adhered to this lifestyle not as a fad or a trend. This is something that they've taken on for the rest of their lives. So if you can captivate them, you've got a lifelong customer, and that's very valuable. So there's all sort of avenues of the different industry players that we need to sort of understand, listen to, speak to the people within those areas, and come up with great initiatives for that.
One of the leading business schools of the world, INSEAD, has revealed the new MENA Talent Competitiveness Index (MTCI) report, intended to aid regional policymakers, educational institutions and other parties to support talent development and growth in the region. According to the first MENA TCI report, governments, employers and academic institutions in the MENA region all have an important role to play to address labour market inefficiencies, develop national talent and ultimately drive long-term sustainability into the 21st century and beyond. Talking about their new findings in the report, officials representing INSEAD, Centre for Economic Growth, and PricewaterhouseCoopers said that 75% of the CEOs in the region agree that talent shortage is the most important challenge, and without a talent agenda, companies in the region face a difficult future. One key issue discussed during the panel discussion was that high-income countries like the UAE, Qatar and Saudi Arabia still need to match their employment rates with their higher GDPs, as they have access to more revenues and infrastructure.
It's an index, and what we did is look at 6 pillars across the economy. 4 pillars about how do we have inputs into our talent pool, how do we grow them, how to retain them, how do we support lifelong learning. And then we have 2 pillars that come out which look at what are the skills that our talent pool ends up with, both in vocational skills and global knowledge skills. And then we assess across the region how well the countries rank on these different areas. And the idea is not that we focus on the ranking, it's more to focus on now we have some data and some metrics where we can look individually within each country, because it's very difficult to compare across the region different countries. We can look individually at these countries at the different metrics and say where can we improve, where are we doing well, and how can we learn from our neighbors and from global countries in the index.
Putting our youth to meaningful employment is the #1 economic and strategic challenge for our region. It's a challenge which cannot be resolved only by the public sector or the private sector. There needs to be collaboration, working together, and also, of course, with the education sector. Now, both sides have a bigger role to play, I think. The private sector can't just wait for the output from schools and universities and just say, oh, they're not having the right skills. There needs to be more investment in the education sector, in scholarships, in programs, in making sure they do have the right skills. And this is normal in Europe or Asia or other parts of the world. But also the government sector needs to be more open and engage with the private sector to understand why are there all these graduates who are not finding jobs when the private sector is saying that they can't find people. So and this is a problem across the region, not only in UAE or in the Gulf, but even the whole Middle East, North Africa region, and in other parts of the world.
Stating that those countries that invest more in talent development will see more growth in the future. Experts from the employment industry advise the government and the private sector to promote openness and mobility, focus on information and communications technology, women empowerment, and find ways to build more employability skills. The report, supported by the Human Resources Development Fund in Saudi Arabia, also emphasized that educational institutions need to align their higher educational curricula to address the needs of the labor market.
So the problem is that there's a mismatch between what the educators understand employability skills mean and what the employers want. And it's difficult because the educators are definitely trying to keep up with the expectations of the employers. But most educators in this region have never worked in the private sector in particular. So they're trying hard. And then on the flip side, the employers, they know the difference between a good and a bad employee, but they don't understand the educational constructs that are important to underpin the skills that they're looking for. So there's a lot of work to be done on helping the educators adjust the curricula. And it may not necessarily be the subjects that they're studying, it's more about how they're studying it. Are they learning critical thinking skills? Are they learning research skills so that they've done, thorough analysis before they present recommendations?
The Board of Directors of the UAE Banks Federation, a professional body representing 50 lenders operating in the UAE, said on Sunday that the mobile wallet project, titled UAE M-Wallet, is ready for rollout, subject to the final approval of the Central Bank of UAE. The project, which is a comprehensive digital payment solution, was first unveiled in February last year. The UBF's highest body, which met recently, discussed the final details of the project, the creation of new specialized committees, and the appointment of 2 new members to the board. The M-Wallet, an important catalyst for the future of the digital economy, reached an important milestone recently, with the UBF board confirming that the initiation phase was completed successfully and the initiative, funded by 18 of the UAE's largest banks, was approved for implementation at the CEO's Advisory Council during its meeting in May. The project represents the financial component of the UAE Smart Government Initiative and incorporates the facility for smartphones and other digital devices to be used for cashless purchases across UAE retail and other outlets, as well as a means to store and transfer money. And Etihad Airways has expanded its codeshare agreement with Hong Kong Airlines to provide travellers with enhanced connections between Asia, the Middle East and Europe. Under the expanded codeshare agreement, Hong Kong Airlines will place its HX flight code on Etihad Airways flights between Hong Kong and Abu Dhabi. Etihad Airways will commence a daily flight on the route from today, offering 3,620 seats per week with an Airbus A330-200 aircraft. In addition, Hong Kong Airlines will code-share on Etihad Airways' new service between Abu Dhabi and Madrid. Etihad Airways and Hong Kong Airlines initiated their code-share agreement in December 2014, allowing Etihad Airways to place its EY code on Hong Kong Airlines flights between Hong Kong and Bangkok, and on flights between Hong Kong and Okinawa, while Hong Kong Airlines placed its HX code on Etihad Airways service between Abu Dhabi and Bangkok. Etihad Airways will increase the frequency of its Bangkok service from 3 to 4 flights a day from the 1st of July 2015, with Hong Kong Airlines also code-sharing on the additional flight.